So, I've tried to record this so many times. I have a piece of paper about all the things I want to say and talk about, and it's just like not working how I was really hoping it would, because I'm trying to make it like perfect, and that's the problem. So basically I wanted to make this video to kind of like talk about my year of 2019. If this was any other year besides this one, I may not like feel so strongly about doing this, but because this has been like my first full year doing music professionally, I thought it would be kind of cool to like recap and talk about what I've learned, talk about things that I will definitely do again, things that I definitely won't do again, and just kind of like, I don't know, give more insight on who I am as a person, because I feel like, I fall into this trap of like thinking someone on Instagram is like one way, and then either meeting them in person or like seeing them do stuff like this, and then them turning out to be the complete opposite, good or bad, of like what I thought they were. To start off, this year in January, I planned it out so that I would release a single every single month. It was great because along the way I've kind of started to sort of figure out my sound and my style and like the image I want to portray and the message I want to send. But on the flip side, it can also kind of like not be so great. So I released 13 original singles this year, and then I had an additional 5 features come out, and then I had 4 music videos come out, which is like a lot of stuff, which is awesome. But I kind of feel like I oversaturated myself and like the audience a little bit, just because, you know, even though I feel like each song I release is like really important and I put a lot of time and energy and money into it, to the audience it kind of can come off as like, oh, she's releasing another song, like whatever, like she's just gonna keep releasing, so they're not as special as if it were a little more spaced out. Each song that I came out this year kind of told like a different chapter of my life. These songs described a certain time in my life. Very obvious. Very obvious, and you know, that's just how it is. These next set of songs described a different time of my life, which is not as obvious in terms of like who it's about, but it's obvious in terms of like I was mad, very upset, very hurt. And these last set of songs are about me and like my sister and my, you know, body dysmorphia stuff, and just like all songs that are about me and not about an ex-boyfriend, basically. I just thought that was cool, that each like group of songs were all related to one another in terms of like who it's about. And it might sound kind of petty to do that, but I also really don't care, like at all, because music is like my therapy, even though I go to lots of other types of therapy, but it's just creative expression. So yeah, I had 5 different features come out, because like you can't really like plan features. Like I couldn't predict like, oh, this person's gonna reach out to me and like we're gonna make a song and then we're gonna release it, because it's kind of up to the other person when they want to release it, because it's their song and you're just featuring on it. So I had like all my songs planned out for the year, and then all throughout had to like throw in these like random little, like, you know, okay, this is gonna sound weird. So I love watching like the holiday baking championship shows. You know, when they're baking towards the final round and the host comes in and is like, haha, surprise, like we have to throw in like eggshells like into your recipe, so like try to incorporate eggshells. That's kind of like what it feels like to have, like, you have this organized plan and then someone comes in and is like, hey, we're gonna do this, which is awesome because it actually really benefits, unlike trying to bake with eggshells. Don't bake with eggshells. It's so fun. It's so fun. It's such a chaotic mess, but it's so fun if you're organized. And then I had 4 music videos come out. 2 of them were features, and then 2 of them were of my own. Music videos are like my favorite part of music, because I'm very meticulous and like very organized and a perfectionist when it comes to like a lot of things in my life, but music videos in particular. I like to have full creative control. For example, the What the Fuck Is Going On music video, like I wrote the song, I hired all the people, I choreographed everything, did all the makeup, the hair, the costumes, location scouting. Artists with full teams behind them usually have people do that stuff for them, but something that I take a lot of like pride and joy in is doing all that myself. I don't have someone spoon feeding me all the answers or giving me like this perfect blueprint about how to make it big and like all that kind of stuff. You appreciate things so much more when you actually have to work for them instead of just like being handed things. So that's something as an artist that I take like a lot of pride in, because I don't, like I said, like I don't have people just being like, oh, do this and like you'll make it, you know what I mean? Like you have to fall on your butt and like mess up and make mistakes, and then you'll grow a little bit, but then something will put you back. Like that's what life is about. It's not about just, you know, having mommy and daddy like buy you everything and hand you everything on a silver platter. Like it's not like that. Yeah. I don't even know what I was talking about, but I'm a firm believer in if you will say that, like that, whatever, you get it. This year was like a lot of first things happened for me. My music was featured on different radio stations in like Israel and Italy and all this crazy stuff. I had, you know, companies and labels from like Sweden and the UK reach out to me, which is like really, really crazy. I performed for the first time, which I didn't think was gonna happen for a long time, just because I was putting it off for like so long because I was so scared. If it wasn't for the guy I was dating at the time of when I first performed, I don't know when I would have done it. So that's something that I'm like super, super grateful for, and grateful for him for like, you know, lovingly pushing me to do it, just because now, like a week ago, I just headlined like my first show. So it's just cool. Like it's just cool to, you know, surround yourself with other musicians and people who love what they do, and people who, dating them or not, like people who positively impact your life and like encourage you to do what you love, even if it's hard. Like that's awesome. Like I feel like it's so important to surround yourself with people like that. And speaking of, you know, surrounding yourself with people who like want you to succeed and want to see you grow, this year I was asked to speak at a school that is kind of geared towards music and performing arts, and this woman who invited me to do this is like the perfect example of someone who wants to see you grow and see you follow your dreams. And it's such an honor to like have someone of her level and just like wisdom and like all that kind of stuff like believe in me and believe in what I do enough to speak in front of her students at her school. So that was a crazy experience, and that's something that I think about like literally every day. I still talk to all the kids from Chandler. That's the name of the school that I spoke at. It was just so shit, hold on. Oh, okay. Speaking at this school was such a beautiful thing for me to do, because that's like exactly what I want to do with my career on a much bigger level, and that is performing to kids and people of all ages, but kids in particular who are maybe like too afraid to speak up about what they're going through or feel like they're alone with what they're going through. And if I can use my music to help them understand that like they aren't alone and that I've been through it, like everyone's been through it, that is just like the most beautiful thing to me. To have these kids reach out to me and tell me how much my presentation meant to them and how much my music meant to them, like it makes me want to like literally sob. Like it's so important to me, and that's exactly what I want to do, and just be there for people who need someone to lean on kind of thing. Like I want to help people through my music, and speaking at this school was like a taste of like what I want my life to be like. So it was so damn cool. Like, oh my god, it was so amazing. That was like the highlight of my year. I don't know if I was really planning on talking about this, but for those of you who don't know, when I was in high school, I was in a very bad relationship, very verbally and mentally abusive, and I was at my lowest of lows during that time of my life because of the things that went on. And for a very long time, I couldn't let it go, because I felt like if I let go of my past, that would mean that it was forgotten, and all of the horrible things that were said to me were going to seem like they were just okay. And I recently have been able to let it go. So that's been a huge ass thing for me because I let that control me. I'm like shaking right now. This is hard. Okay, anyways, through the many years of therapy and medication and music and long talks with my mom and, you know, meeting new people along the way, I've realized that letting something go doesn't mean that it's being forgotten. It means that you're letting that be the past and not like limiting yourself to new things that happen in the future. I thought that writing songs about it would be like my way of saying like, okay, I'm over this, like whatever, like fuck this kind of thing. But unfortunately that wasn't the case because it still affected me after I wrote and recorded and released all of those songs. For me, what like really did it was, so I've been like basically my therapist had told me that I need to write a letter and say everything that I wanted to say, call them every name in the book, do the whole thing. And then I would come in for like our session and then I would burn it. For some reason, like that like clicked for me. I literally watched it burn and I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is amazing. So once I burned that, I'm not kidding you, things started to like actually change like in my life, because for the very first time in a very long time, I've not had my past define or control me anymore. Like I've completely let it go. And it's just crazy to me because I feel like now that I can finally see clearly, things are like falling into place and it's beautiful. So sorry if that was kind of weird or corny or cringy or confusing. It's cool to see all of my hard work for and like with myself mentally pay off, because now it's starting to pay off with music, with relationships, with my family. I can see things for what they really are. I'm happy. So that's kind of it for this video. Really all over the place. I talked about probably 2 things that I wrote down. I didn't want this to sound like I was just rattling off like accomplishments, because yes, accomplishments are awesome, but I think it's the low points that make those accomplishments so much better. But that's really it. I just wanted to say how grateful I am for, you know, everything that's happened in my life, good and bad, because if it weren't for those things, then I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, and I wouldn't have the people in my life that I have currently. I'm just super excited for this next year, because now my head is like screwed on right, and I'm excited to like continue to learn about myself and about music and grow and mess up and make mistakes and then grow from that and like just reflect. Like I'm so thankful that I have such a better like outlook on life. With 2020, I want to promise myself that I'm going to be more real and open and honest about like who I am as a person, because I take a lot of pride in who I am on the inside, and I want to make sure that part of me shows as much as the full glam, like professional photos, like all that kind of stuff, because really it's what's on the inside that's important. And that is what I have to say. So with all that being said, I hope you have a great new year. I hope you had a great holiday season, and I hope next year is even better than this year. And thanks for listening to my story about myself. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed.